Blog Talk Radio.
What if the American people woke up and understood that the official reasons for going to war are almost always based on lies and promoted by war propaganda in order to serve special interests? What if we as a nation came to realize that the quest for empire eventually destroys all great nations? What if the American people learned the truth?
The FBI has foiled about 17 plots to kill Americans during the past 10 years. What it will not tell you is that there have been 20 foiled plots, and of them, 3 were interrupted by members of the public. The 17 that were interrupted by the feds were created by the feds. Why do we pay the government to trick us into believing it is keeping us safe? What if a government that manipulated us could be fired? What if a government that lacked the true and knowing consent of the governed could be dismissed? What if it were possible to have a real game changer? What if we need a Ron Paul to preserve and protect our freedoms from the government? What if we can make elections matter again? What if you could love your country but hate what the government has done to it? What if sometimes to love your country you had to alter or abolish the government? What if Jefferson was right? What if that government is best which governs least? What if I'm right? What if the government is wrong? What if it is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong?
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
What if it is better to perish fighting for freedom than to live as a slave? What if freedom's greatest hour of danger is now?
I'm sorry, but I did not hear you press at least 4 digits of your PIN number.
Rise up and do something, because the day of reckoning is at hand and time is running out.
Unless we do something, we're going to get the government.
But I did not hear you press at least 4 digits of your PIN number.
How does this happen? Wake up out there. You know, it's your children. Don't you care? Look what these people are doing to you.
There are 200 million adults in this country. Why we are letting them get away with what they are, why we're not marching in the streets.
Do everything in your power to restore freedom and your individuality back to America. Stop being a country run by the institutions for the institutions. Let's go back to we the people, by the people, for the people.
We have to stop being scared. We have to stand up and do what's necessary to take back, to stop these bankers, these elite, this government full of lies, congressmen full of liars.
And the Federal Reserve, and the fractional banking system, and the Fed! Elect Ron Paul, and the war!
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You, the people, have the power. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, let us all unite!
Okay, can everybody hear me now? Can everybody hear me? Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's try this. I've got no way not doing it. Why is it not? Why am I not able? Again. My call. Settings. Connection security. Use microphone. Alright, let's try that. It won't let me do it. Why? Yeah, I'm breaking up. Okay, can you hear me? You can hear me? I'm breaking up. hear you talking. Okay, you hear me? Very good then. Understanding the times. Hang on. Let me pick up the star lock here. Understanding the times we live today. I can't hear myself on this headset for some reason, so I don't know what's going on here. I do have callers on, but I don't think I can hear my callers. I was able to. Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, let's see. Let me connect Connecticut if I can hear you, man. Let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me on the phone? No, I can't hear you. Oh, but it's weird. Something's going on here. Something's wrong with if you're tethering your phone, move closer to the window. No, I'm on a headset right now. I'm on a headset. I'm trying to use Skype. I'm using Skype. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm using Skype. Okay. All right. Here. I'm not on my phone with this show. This is live podcast. Understanding times in which you live today, folks. We're a little bit messed up here. I don't have internet connection here. Well, I do, but I'm using a hotspot, so I'm unable to, I guess you could say, call into my radio show. I'm going to try, see what happens. Maybe do that, and then I can hear myself. That's what I'm going to try to do here. Let me try that and see what happens. And that's a good idea. Let's try that. Okay. I'll call in to my own show, and then I could probably get through. Then. Let's try that. Let's see what I hear. I don't hear dialing. I don't hear anything.
Blog Talk Radio.
Completed. Okay.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio.
No,
Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
I don't hear anything on my headset. Skype sucks, I know. It sure does. I don't have another phone to call into my show. I can't do it. It's impossible. Now, anyway, I have to use my host pin somehow, and it's not working. I know everyone can hear me, but I don't know how to do that. I think I know what I can do. If everyone would just be patient with me, I think I'll do this now. Hang on. This is the first time I've ever done it all these years, use Skype. And the only reason why I use Skype is the last show you would have heard for yourself what Spectrum has done to me. And I want to give everyone a live update. They've installed my services. However, I had DirecTV come out in the meantime, and they disconnected Spectrum to hook up DirecTV. So Spectrum is disconnected by DirecTV. So therefore, I have a technician come out, and they can't have a technician come out tomorrow. So I tried using the hotspot here tonight. And obviously, Skype sucks. I can hear myself talk. I can't, but everyone else can hear me from what I understand. I don't know about that room. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try calling into my own show using my host pin and see what happens. We're live, though, but I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to try doing that here. Let me go to my Skype, my phone here, and online call. Let's see what happens. And try that and see what happens. All right, let's see here. All right, let's see. No, I want to make a call. That's what I want to do. I can use it. I can't make another call because I'm already connected. I can't do that. It won't let me. All right? It won't let me. Let's see. Let's try this one. Let's try turn up the volume. Network. This is very, very, very screwed up situation, folks. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. This is sad. This is sad. This is what they've done to me. Shut me down. But I'll be back and run regular. I mean, I try calling in through my phone line and see what happens. And I might be able to connect to the show. I don't know, but I'll try it. But I'm afraid I'll get disconnected. But again, if you missed the show, it was on Sunday night. You got to listen to that show. I mean, it's insane. If you listen to Spectrum talk to me, how you would be better off tethering your phone to your computer, internet. I did that already. But when I'll try it. I'll try it and try. I'll try it. Let's go to connections here. I got one of these. Let's see here. I don't know how any of this stuff works. This nonsense here, tethering. All right, mobile. Yeah, that's why I did that already. With the tethering, I'm already on. I could go USB tethering. I could do that maybe. Try that. See what happens. I mean, I'm afraid I'll get disconnected, but I could try it. I don't know. Is there any computer geniuses out there that could tell me how this thing works? I mean, I know others show that sounds good now. Okay. Well, it sounds good, but the problem is I can't hear myself talking, and I can't take any calls tonight. That's the problem. So it's just going to be me talking. I could try to, and that's the problem I'm getting into is that, hang on, let me try this. Can you hear me? All right. Wonder why it's doing that. Oh, let's see here. I really want to try using it a different way here, this blog talk thing. But I've got full board here tonight. So it's Joseph. Oh, you can hear me too. The chat room can even hear me. That's great. The problem is, though, is I can't take no live calls, and I base my show upon the calls, you know. So I can't connect nobody because I'm using Skype tonight. So again, what's happened to me here is, let me explain the story to you because you really need to go back and listen to that show from Sunday. What has happened is everyone knows that my girlfriend and I split up, okay? And she lived here, and she had a cable company in her name. It was Spectrum, okay? When she left, she just left. And she left all the equipment here, and she just took off and left. And so I figured I'd do the right thing, and, you know, I don't want to run up a bill in her name. So I called Spectrum and said, hey, this is what happened. You know, I told them the truth. You know, we broke up. I want to start an account up in my name, you know. So they said, well, all the equipment that was there, I said, they asked me, they said, is it still there? I said, yeah, all the equipment's here. What do you want me to do with it? Well, they said, well, you could just keep the equipment and we'll just pay an account startup fee and we'll generate a new account and you start up service in your name. And I said, well, I don't want the same package she had. I want a new account, a different package, because I don't want to need all the movie stations and all that other nonsense that they whack you for. Just basic landline. Give me the internet, high speed internet, and the basic cable. I don't really watch TV much anyway, so they do that. All of a sudden, 2 months later, here I get a bill in the mail for $1,300. $1,300. Yeah, and I'm like, whoa! So I call Spectrum. Tell them what's going on. Oh, yeah, okay, no problem. They unlinked the accounts. They said, well, they linked her account to your account. I said, well, why would you do that? She has a different name. We weren't lawfully married. Why would you do that? Well, it was a mistake. They just, blah, blah, blah. So time goes on. They hit me with another bill. Now, all of a sudden, I'm getting text messages on my phone. Your service is about ready to be interrupted. So now I start the ball rolling to find out what the hell is going on. It's a complete fiasco. It's all convoluted. It's corporate nightmare. Nobody cares. And next thing you know, they shut my service off on a Sunday morning, last Sunday. No internet, no nothing. Now, I go to school online, so this really affects me. And I have a son that has to go to public school, and all the schools are shut down because of the COVID. And, he can't go to school now. And so they shut everything down. They want me to pay $1,300 for internet and a landline. I mean, you're out of your mind. So, and I was promised by the representatives. But anyway, to make a long story short, Sunday night, I did a podcast show. I called Spectrum live on this show without them knowing that I was doing a live podcast. And some of you probably in the chat remember, because some of you were there listening. And I got a girl on the phone. We talked. She was from Wisconsin, blah, blah, blah. And, they put you on hold. I ran through all the rigum, whatever, all this nonsense, and give them all my information. Of course, I muted the call when I gave them my personal information because there are whack jobs out there that like to harass me. And then she can't reconnect me. She can't do nothing, after she said she was going to. But she was real polite, so I didn't give her a hard time. I didn't do my usual, to where I slam you, especially corporations. So now the supervisor comes on, and I already know he's going to be a complete dickhead, So he gets on, and he's a complete robot, jerk, programmed, company, loon, whatever. He's a New World Order puppet, this guy. I mean, and you need to go back and listen to this conversation. I basically, in a polite way, in a professional way, make him look like the biggest jackass on the planet Earth, because that's what he was. And it's the truth. That's what happened. And, that's just what happens. I mean, and Spectrum is a huge conglomerate corporation. And we did this with Amazon a couple years ago. We exposed Amazon for what it was worth. And, we all love Amazon, Walmart, Spectrum. We love it because we're idiots. We're Americans. We're dumb Americans that just, we're the madness of a lost society. So I exposed the corporation. So those of you who are awake out there, those of you who are in a patriot community, those of you who are, standing up against this evil system, this corporation, this de facto system, go back and listen to that show because it will give you some points on how to handle people like that. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I cannot really take live callers. I'm going to try. I got some people putting their hands up. I'm going to see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't hear anybody. I'm on a headset and a microphone right now, and I can't hear anything. I can't even hear my own voice. But I can see my studio screen, and I can see the people in the chat room, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'll connect the first caller here and see what happens. I don't know if you can hear me or not, caller. You're unmuted. Can anyone hear this caller? Can they hear this caller?
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Chat room, can you hear this caller? No, yes, maybe
Hello?
so, maybe not.
Yeah, can you hear me?
How about this?
Got a little echo going.
Caller, can anyone hear this call? People in the chat room, can you hear the caller? 804, you're unmuted. 804.
Yes, I'm speaking. Can anybody hear me?
You can hear the caller. Okay, who's the caller? Can someone translate for me in the chat room maybe? Because then I could take callers. You know what I mean? If someone can give me an honest translation. Caller, what's on your mind?
I just came across your show. I'm actually a patriot and a whistleblower and a veteran, and I'm exposing a lot of fraud and bringing in new paradigms to
dead air.
transform.
Dead air. That's what Ashley says. Dead air. Can't hear him. Oh, you can't hear the caller, but you can hear me, right? Okay. We can't hear the caller, so I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, I just don't know how this is going to work. I mean, I could try calling in through my phone and connecting to the show. I could do that maybe and see what happens and go from there. Can't hear any of you. You can't hear nothing anymore. Now the Skype's gone. Oh, come on. No, it says it's working. So let's see here. Let's try this one. All right. Let's see here. What would happen if I tried calling in the whole show? Is this thing? I'm gonna try. If not, we'll be doing a show tomorrow. I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. There's no settings on here. There's no nothing. Skype sucks. Permissions? What's permissions? Clear cookies, data. Removing. No, we don't want to do that. All right. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what this guy's saying. Telling me. Be quiet. Well, hear him. Oh, there is a caller there that you can hear. All right, Bitbanker, you translate for me. I got 804. Tell me what the caller is talking about. Go ahead. You know what? I'll let you guys talk. How's that?
Yeah. Can anybody?
I'll open up the phone line and let you guys talk.
Yes. Is anybody able to hear me?
Go ahead. You guys talk with each other. You guys want to talk tonight with each other? Press number 1.
We can hear you, 804.
I'm on mute, everybody. You guys talk. How about that?
Terrific.
And then I know how I think I can do this.
Yes, I just came across.
I'm telling him to be quiet so you can talk. So let's see if he listens.
All right. I just came across the show. I am a patriot, a Vietnam-era veteran, a whistleblower, and I'm bringing forth new paradigms to root out corruption
All
globally.
Callers, you're unmuted. The callers that pressed number 1, you're unmuted.
I already pressed 1. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still here. He just can't hear you, that's all.
All right. Let me do this. Let me give you 3 words to Google. It will bring you to a big website, and you'll see a lot of information on there. If you can take that information.
All callers are muted. No, callers are not muted.
I'll tell him again.
The one that's able to hear me, are you able to take the 3 words to Google?
All are on. All right, knock it off, man. Callers are all not muted. I'm telling you right now. I got them unmuted.
Yes, he's still able to hear me.
This is how they get you.
Yeah, we can hear you. He just can't hear you, so he keeps talking, but he doesn't know you're talking.
Right. I'm going to give you 3 words to Google. It will bring you to a big website. If you Google my last name, Charlson, the first letter is T like Tom, then R-A-U-L-S like Sam, E like Edward, N like Nancy, the second word and, A-N-D, and the third word Trump, T-R-U-M-P. If you just Google that and click on that, it'll bring you to a big website, rootingoutcorruption.weebly.com. And in the menu, there's even a front page Wall Street Journal article from 1983 that I was written up in. It triggered an investigation that eventually caused the resignation of Jim Wright from Speaker of the House in shame. And back then it beautifully described how special interests and lobbyists have totally corrupted Washington. It was before Ross Perot talked about it back then. But due to apathy and people not knowing what to do or how to do it, that's why we're in the state we're in now. So it doesn't matter what political party, it's all corrupt.
Well, you're exactly correct on the latter part.
So, but nobody is doing anything to get the corruption out. But I have strategies that will. It can't be stopped because it's not ego-based and it will empower the masses. I do share common background with the president. I'll help any president in office to empower the people in the right way, but I'm not on the ego trip that President Trump is on, so I leave him on his path as I remain steadfast on the path that I'm on. And I've been toyed with in all kinds of ways. They don't want the information that I have to get out to the masses. So I say there's 4 big areas that are controlling everyone. It's mainstream media, big government, big business, and religion, and they're all tied in together. So people really have to start working locally and giving respect, because all they want is chaos. The presidents are puppets for elites, and all the elites want is chaos so they can control us more and more, and that's what we have to be attuned to. So to stop fighting and arguing, it's a fact that nobody ever wins an argument, so instead stop the racial baloney, come into the communities, give respect, and bring forth solutions in the communities.
That would be nice, but that's not what they want, and they're not going to let that happen.
Well, that's why, again, people have to wake up. I call out everybody. I say that you have to understand simple, basic things, that you came from spirit. Even an atheist can't deny that. Eventually, you're going to go back into spirit, whether you're 100, whether you're 50, when you're called home by your Creator, you're not giving yourself your own breath. That's given to you by the Creator. So when you go back into spirit, the material goods have absolutely no use. And I say you will be accountable for everything you did here. So that's what people should be starting to look at more. And I believe that we're incarnating to learn unconditional love. As we learn it, we're supposed to be a blessing to others, especially those who can't help themselves. So if we can't get to that shift, then we'll keep repeating history just as we've had since the beginning with control, conquer, and divide. But it is possible. The internet is what I say
Good
is
evening.
mankind.
This is Dr. Peter Paul Ventura, and I wanted to say that I approve this message.
That's great.
Thank you. Now, as far as being a Vietnam era veteran, are you familiar with Clayton Helms Douglas? He is also a Vietnam era veteran.
No, I reach out to veterans organizations to see what I can do to help, but I concentrate on solutions because there's so much that you can be pulled into and so many rabbit holes. I've been down some. I've had UFO, paranormal, and near-death experiences, so I don't focus on those so much as to just put out facts wherever I can to awaken people in the most simple, basic ways. Because
in order for you to be truly awake, and not to interrupt you, but you have to. There's a website called thefreeamerican.com and yourfreeamerican.com, and also Tony Talk. Uncle Tony, you have to listen to both of them. And
I'm sure they're similar to you. Are you familiar with James Perloff?
Well, let me.
All right.
He has the DMF and the IMFs that are, and Clayton Douglas blew the whistle.
Right.
He's the guy that blew the whistle on the watchtower, and but I can't believe you don't know who this gentleman is, but you need to look into him.
Well, if you want to make them aware of me too, because again, the stuff I'm talking about.
You can Google me, Dr. Peter Paul Ventura from Imperial Beach, California, and now from Terryville, Connecticut. I am very well known, very well respected in the community.
That's not
I'm
him.
the type of guy that puts.
Yeah, I don't do things myself on the internet, so I just put information out through other people. But if you have my phone number, I can give it to you, or if you want to have them contact me if they want to collaborate, that's what I'm looking to do, because, again, what I have is like a Pac-Man game of transparency that will plug up the money pipelines to the elites and bring transparency back to where it needs to go to force them to change their ways or be dealt with legally.
Well,
how can you deal with them legally when they got all the judges, the courts, the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA in their back pockets? How could you do that?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was asking if you're familiar with James Perloff, Perloff. You can just put him on video. He's done this for decades, studying the elites, and there's a lot like him. But again, I don't care. They can put chemtrails. That's not my reality, but it will be their reality when they go back into spirit and are accountable for that. So the same with COVID-19. I had a near-death experience in 2007 that disabled me with severe COPD. I don't wear the mask unless I want to go into some place that insists that I put it on, because it can trigger an asthmatic attack for me. So
that is a case of Jewish lightning. That's exactly what.
With all respect to you, you seem a bit older and you know what's going on. But quite frankly, anybody like maybe pick an age 50. Anybody under 50, all they want is everything for free. They're not going to see it.
Right. Yep.
They're not going to see it our way because they have immortality yet. They haven't gotten sick yet. They don't know what life is about. I mean, no offense. This gentleman here, other gentlemen.
That is the problem with today's youth. You can't get through to them unless you take.
Well,
for
you
example,
can if you incentivize it the right way
and let them know that it's your way or the highway. That's what I've done.
Hey, this is Tabo. What's going on?
Well, you've got society here that gives them everything for free, so it's not your way or the highway because they just turn around and mommy or daddy goes and they get on welfare or whatever they get, and everything's free. Nobody's learning yet.
Wow.
And that's not his name, Peter Paul Ventura. So just like the politicians,
that's a lie. Hello, it's Tabo. How you doing?
Good evening, Douglas.
This is Tabo. How you doing?
Good evening, Douglas. Dougie.
Just got done lifting 500 pounds.
Who are we calling now?
Hello, it's me, Joe Gibson.
Yeah, let the other gentleman spell out his website. Type it in, that Google guy.
I'll give you 3 words. It's the easiest way to get to a page on the website. When you're ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, just Google my last name, Traulson. The first letter is T like Tom, then R-A-U-L.
T as in penis?
No, T like Thomas.
All right, come on now.
Keep it professional.
That's what I told you. See, he lied to you from the get-go when he told you his name. So you really can't believe anybody on this platform because they're all liars.
Live on the platform.
And that's the problem we are in this country.
Look,
exactly.
Let me tell you something, Bit Banker.
I don't know. I was trying to give out some information. If we're all just playing games here, I don't play games.
Right, sir.
Yeah, I know.
People don't want information. All they want is a good time.
No, they have to have it because that's what's controlling them. When they wake up to that fact, they can look in the mirror and they can ask who's controlling them. And then when they
I know what would fix it. It's called the 30-30. That would fix it.
Yeah, that's all right. Can you get that website, please? Can we get the website, please, without anybody interrupting, please? Give the guy some respect.
If you spell my last name, the first letter is T like Tom, then R-A-U-L, S like Sam, E like Edward, N like Nancy. The next word, and, A-N-D, and the third word, Trump. Trump. Just Google Charleston and Trump. It's going to bring you to a page on a website, www.rootingoutcorruption.weebly.com, and you'll see my background and heritage and more on that page. I'm currently 76 years old, and on the different pages, the page that says Media Review, you'll have a beautiful thing that the ones 50 and younger can look at that was a Russian defector who was interviewed 30 years ago, and everything he talked about is what's happening right now. So that's something that can be spread around to show the beautiful world that people want for nothing.
Yeah, and I see Facebook's already knocking your posts down.
Yeah, there's some things that they don't want. There's a documentary, Out of Shadows, that they kept knocking off when I posted it. That's excellent, too. That's done by a former CIA whistleblower, Kevin Shipp.
Okay. I'm just going through looking at a little bit of it now.
Yeah, what I'd like you to really take a look at, because I want this addressed by, I was trying to get it out before the election, but the page that says Hughes Muse, M-U-S-E, to show you how they play with me. I was, as a disabled senior citizen, asleep in bed, and they arrested me from my bed. I've never been arrested for anything in my life.
Well, you know, the governor of Georgia, he certified. The governor of Georgia certified the election results. And
who's that in the background?
The governor of Georgia.
Can you mute Coates off?
Because we are Americans.
The governor of Georgia certified the election results. And then he came out and said he wants them all recounted and verified. His daughter's boyfriend left the house at 7 o'clock and was killed in a car accident and burned to death. That's sort of a wake-up call to the governor and his daughter, that if they continue doing what they're doing, the same thing may happen to them. You can't fool with these people like that. We have to find a better way.
Well, again, I stand in truth and light, and that's what I wanted you to see on the Hughes Muse page, because I was set up by a corrupt police sergeant. He's now dead. That's the karma he took on when he fooled with me.
Yeah, what's your area caller? What's your area code so I can try to knock some of this background noise off? What's your area code?
My area code is 804.
Okay, got you. Okay, trying to get through.
No, I appreciate you can share this wherever you are, because I have even said in interviews too, what are they going to do next? Knock down my apartment door and arrest me off my throne for using too much toilet paper? Where's this crap going to stop?
That's exactly what they'll do. And what you'll do is you'll spend 10 years and every penny you have fighting it and lose in the end.
I don't fight it. I love it. Keep it up, because every day is a miracle for me. Everybody keeps telling me I should have been dead back in 2007 when I came into the VA healthcare system through the means test in 2008. When I saw the pulmonologist, he took one look at me and said, "You're going to be dead in 6 months." I said, "Nice meeting you too, Doc. What a beautiful bedside manner."
You know what? I don't give a shit about Moscow Pico train pulling me over on
as you
wonderful person. Is he one of the people that want to be a survivor? I said in interviews too, if I was the greatest survivalist on the planet and killed everybody, what a wonderful person I am. And then an ET comes along, takes me out because he doesn't like the way I look. What did I accomplish? So where's all the madness going?
Yeah. Well, they want to disrupt the show. They want to try to disrupt the show as much as possible.
I don't argue with these people.
But they want for you and me.
And when they go back into spirit, then they can be accountable for everything they did. And
what they want for everyone, including you.
They want chaos. That's what they want.
Universal benefits. Yeah. What they want is everything you own, everything you're ever going to own, and they're going to give you an income every month for life, as long as you do what they're told. That is their agenda. Keep you locked up, keep you at home, keep you from going out, close all businesses. Universal benefits. That's what the left-wing nut jobs are after.
And be careful of the COVID vaccine. Are you familiar with nanobots?
No, but I'm familiar with what the vaccine does. First of all, a PCR test is not the proper way to check for a vaccine. Secondly, they've never even isolated COVID-19 yet to figure out what it is. So how could they get a vaccine for it when they haven't isolated it?
Yeah, they want to get stuff in you, and that's part of the chemtrails too, because nanobots and stuff. Then you're somebody else's robot. I'm not. Anything?
Yeah, the aliens brought it down.
The vaccine is made from 14-month-old male aborted fetuses and kidney tissue, and they have no idea what the RNA. It's going to affect your DNA and change your RNA.
Exactly.
They have no idea what's going to happen years down the road, or let alone generations down the road.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
But there again, that's where the spirituality. I get the flu shot in the VA, and I just take the medications. But I ask God, just transmute everything I'm taking according to the way the doctor takes it, because I have that heart to God connection. That's what keeps me alive each day.
Well, if that's what you believe in, if you remember when Obama started in 2008, we had H1N1, 60 million people got it during that.
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't close down the country for that. We're at that now, but we've had the country closed for close to a year. It's a big game they're playing here. It's a big game.
Well, let me backtrack just a little bit to 9/11. That's where we had Homeland Security come into play. And I don't know if you really can recall how quickly in all the airports, all these expensive X-ray machines came in. They were stockpiled somewhere. Somebody made millions on that.
Well, of course. Like all the coffins they have piled up and everything else.
Yep. Sure.
Like the 13 billion rounds of ammunition purchased by the government during those years.
Yeah. Well, I already put it out on other interviews related to the elites. I said God has harmonics, which are sound waves, so I put the fear on them. When they come, you can be an elite sitting on your yacht in the Mediterranean sipping a pina colada. You may spontaneously combust or explode. The same thing if you're in an underground bunker somewhere, because God's harmonics will go where God wants them to go. So the host of the show said to me, "Aren't you afraid of retribution?" I said, "Retribution for what? I didn't do anything wrong. They did. If they have a hitman take me out, I ask God to let me eat the hitman's brains out from the spirit world. Be quite painful. I'll be more gentle on him than the guy who hired him." So I don't put it out as a challenge, but I put the fear on them. If that's the way I leave my physical world here, they're going to have a lot more trouble from me when I'm in spirit.
Well, that would be something to look forward to, and some of us would be willing to go if we could fix the problem. But unfortunately, they've got all the cards right now.
Well, they think they do, but there again, when you really study and look at all my life experiences and listen to some of the interviews I've done, I've been in places and seen things that most people haven't. So that's why they know that every time they attempt something with me, it always backfires when I let go and let God handle what I can't. Aside from the Wall Street Journal article back in the early 80s, on one of the pages you'll see a business card from a Secret Service agent. I had somebody called me related to my taxes, and I said, "I don't know what this is all about, but if you can give proper identification, come on over." So they came at an appropriate time and flashed the Secret Service badge, came in and started asking me all kinds of questions, and I cooperated fully. It got to a point I said, "Can you at least tell me what this is about?" And they said that there was an unsigned letter received at the U.S. Embassy in London, England, mentioning my name and another person's name as having accepted 500,000 pounds British sterling from the Libyan strongman to assassinate President Reagan. It was before Gaddafi was big in the news back then. I said, "I have no desire to meet any president in person or whatever, but here again, that's archived somewhere, and I'm looking to get truth and transparency. Where is it? How can Trump say he's a law and order president and not even address my being arrested from my bed? And how can the Obama administration continue to cover that up, especially with Joe Biden coming in as the next president? He was there when they had the beer summit, which accomplished nothing. I tried to be a part of that. So all that's festering. It's being covered up by the government, the police, and even the Catholic Church. Amazing.
Well, I believe Trump's a more constitutionalist president than any of the previous ones. But there was a gentleman on this.
That's all Trump is for. I know him more than most people do. I discuss some of it in other interviews. I still would support any president in office to do things through a third party to empower the people. But everything he does is all about him, no matter what happens. You can try and work with him. He'll extract everything that he can from you. When he's finished using you up, he'll throw you under the bus.
Well, everybody says he's a narcissist, but if you go back to Obama and you read Obama's first book, All About Me, and if you want to know a little bit more, you can read Obama's second book, All About Me, and maybe you want to know a little bit more about Obama, so you can read his third book, All About Me.
I go to Obama in different ways too. I don't know if you're into exopolitics. They say that he has teleported to Mars and stuff. Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, she channels her great-grandfather, Dwight D. Eisenhower. I have that on the Twitter page. There's so many rabbit holes to go down, but people can talk all day long, even this racial stuff and whatever. It's the actions that are needed right now. You have to stop the talking and do the actions. And it's not violence and it's not overthrowing anything. It's using the Internet. It's like the Wild West right now, but it can be cleaned up. So blockchain can do that. I'm not into the Bitcoin and that kind of currency, but just blockchain. Once you do something on a business deal, it stays there forever and it can't be tampered with. So that's where the transparency has to be for the future.
Well, you got a good point there, but that's not true. It can be tampered with. I did Bitcoin years and years and years ago when it first came out.
Bitcoin. I'm talking about.
I've got 4 Bitcoin in a wallet somewhere. I don't even know where it is, but
No, I'm talking about blockchain. I'm not talking about the currency. I'm talking about the actual contracts.
Okay.
Are you familiar with iViewIt.tv, iViewIt.tv, Elliot Bernstein down in Florida?
No, I'm not.
That would be something to take a look at because supposedly he had all the video technology that's being in use for today and was ripped off by patent attorneys. There's interesting YouTubes where even a judge in New York recused himself because of the corruption. If just put Elliot Bernstein, iViewIt.tv. You'll see they blew up his cars. They tried to kill him and his family. He's in Boca Raton.
I'll see if I can check that out. But a week or so back on this platform, there's a gentleman called Greg. He put this all in common sense language that your politicians, your Republicans, your Democrats, all they're playing is good cop, bad cop. He put it in plain, simple English. So it's not that Trump is so good. It's the left-wing Democrats have taken off their mask, like he said, and now you're finding out what they really want and what they're really about. Yeah, I view it technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see burned up cars and everything.
Yeah, and wait until you see the videos of them in court.
It's like go back to what I said before. You can't win in court because they got them all in there.
Again, people aren't smart enough or know how to do things. All this stuff with trade with China, I was active as an independent international marketing consultant. That's where I exposed the guy in the 80s. We did all that to China. We built China up. It was all done on pure money greed. Every manufacturer ran over there to get everything built on pennies as compared to the unions that they didn't want to pay the union members over here. So it's all BS.
Very true. That's very true. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way it went. It was, and before China, it was Japan. You remember that, correct?
Oh, yes. No,
right.
I'm familiar with all of that. I actually approached the manufacturer to assist him in international business, and he said, well, here's what to do. If somebody's interested, charge them 3 times my retail price. Are you nuts? I'm not even going to talk to you.
That's
how dumb they were back in the 80s.
I know that, and if you go back in the 50s and 60s, like I said, it was Japan. Everything that came from
Peter
Japan was
Drucker,
junk.
I know all about that. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Well, you'll even see a letter from a gentleman, David D. Seltz, who was like king of franchising back in the day. I was interacting with him, and at the time I was doing that, he was helping Tom Monahan, the founder of Domino's Pizza, out of a difficult time. So I have respect from people that do take the time to investigate just who I am, but what happens is a lot of people will take information that I provide, run with it, and then that's the end of it. They'll circumvent me and do millions of dollars in business, but that's okay. I have letters that even indicate some of that on some of the pages too. Sears Roebuck and all kinds
Sears
of
Roebuck, oh yeah. Use their catalog in the outhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I gave them a contact over in Germany, and they probably did millions of dollars in business, and I did the same with Union Carbide. I have more documentation related to Union Carbide, and I actually was working at their headquarters for about 10 years as a contract security officer. I was there when the gas leak in Bhopal, India happened, guarding the executives in the war room. They were getting bomb threats every 2 or 3 minutes, dumping 3,000 executives out of the building until they got better security procedures in place. So, I mean, again, I've been places and seen things when people start talking and BS, and I've been it. I've seen it. So you're not going to fool me.
Well, that's right. Nobody's trying to fool you, but they'll overcome what you want. And you're absolutely right. What we need to take care of things locally first, like a local grand jury that sees everything that goes on. A local grand jury first,
right?
Because we got to get rid of these criminals. You know, the Washington D.C., the District of Criminals, they're all criminals. Even your local ones are criminals.
Yeah.
They've all been bought and paid for already.
Yeah. And when they see it being cleaned up, like again, I was arrested from my bed, but my life was saved by the police in New York. So I support the police and respect the police, but what I don't support or respect is Gestapo police or corrupt police. If they would just concentrate on getting that out of the picture, that would really cement relations with the communities a lot better. That's what I was really trying to address with trying to get Trump or Biden to even comment. I'm not looking to sue anybody, even though they totally violated my civil rights. And I laugh at the whole situation. They got a couple of weak-minded women, one of whom was a reverend type. They claim I was stalking him for the period of a couple of months, and the reverend, I have documents to show she perjured herself on paper. Nobody wants to address it. So I also support the Me Too movement. I say that I hope these women will get compensated and acknowledged for what how they were abused. But in addition to that, the most important thing is they got to get psychological help because they're nuts. They'll just abuse somebody because they were abused.
But look at what they did to Kavanaugh. I mean, what did they give these women? What did they offer these women to come out and say this and do all these things? Really?
I mean, that was absolutely insane. They're going way back then with no documentation on anything.
Exactly. It's definitely insane. And if they can pull that off on national TV in Congress, they can pull off anything. And it all
they do better than that. As soon as these young people come to in Congress as senators, they have parties and they'll drug them up and get the prostitutes in there with photo ops and all kinds of things. Gotcha.
Now I'll ask you a question. You're a bit older than me, but Greg said this, and I believe this. When they got Kennedy in Dallas, that's when this crap began. Can you see anything before that?
It's this country is not what we think it is, and there again, the indigenous people are well aware. And that's where they really want to say everybody should be sovereign and do whatever the hell you want. But I don't go there either. There has to be some law and order. But it's a corporation, so it all really goes back to England. That's the most sinister of everything, and that's what has to really be looked at and weeded out all around the world. But there's different factions of the elites fighting with each other right now, And as long as they're doing that, that's an opening for the truth and transparency to come forth.
Well, I believe that, but is it all a big game? The elites fighting among themselves.
For them, it isn't, because they think that they really are gods. They're sick in the head, and they won't change their ways until they're put in jail or go back into spirit, where they'll see that what they did was something that they never should have done to begin with. But I don't begrudge anybody for having a lot of money, but if you're getting it by enslaving people or manipulating and controlling them in negative ways, that's got karma attached to it. So what I have is dealing with information. I have a divine gift of what I call creative utilization of information. On the Twitter page, you'll see the first post has a strategy related to restaurants. And I learned this a while back, too, that MLMs, hedge funds, hate MLMs, multi-level marketing, because hedge funds are all secret, and they manipulate the stocks like we were talking about earlier. They're all hep to this. They know people are going to have to buy masks and buy hand sanitizer and more toilet paper or whatever. So they know just where to put their money ahead of anybody else. But the MLMs, when people can see how to get passive income and be able to bring the income that they're not getting from their jobs until they're able to leave their jobs and do something entrepreneurial themselves, that's where things can shift. And that's why I put out in interviews, I'd say any company today, you can have the best product, the best customer service. It's no longer enough. You have to be good to your employees, your customers, the environment, and give back to the community in ethical, legal, moral ways. When people wake up to the fact that election day is every day you buy a product, if you're buying lead-based painted toys out of China through Walmart, your kids don't have a choice, but you do. And a lot of people aren't even aware. It's available to be seen on the internet. A few years ago, Walmart paid a fine of $82 million for dumping pesticides down storm drains. They paid the fine. It's in and out of the consciousness of people, but what's to stop them from doing it again or doing something else? We are, when we hold them all accountable. And I saw a very interesting presentation on PBS related to Amazon. I was looking for the end game of Jeff Bezos. What is his final end game? There is none. It's all total greed. And what I was seeing is they have these warehouse people that are filling the orders, and behind the scenes they have time and motion people that are studying them and automating and putting robotics in to duplicate everything that they're doing. So they keep pushing them more and more to outperform the technology. When they no longer can, they're no longer an employee. The automation and robotics will take over. And it was so sickening to see. I think it's still available on the internet. Jeff Bezos, when COVID-19 first kicked in, started a GoFundMe for people to contribute, so any of his employees that would come down with COVID-19 would have money from that GoFundMe page. That's pocket change for him. That's the kind of employer is. It's total greed.
It is total greed. $99 laptops. It's played on this show. They'll run over. They'll kill each other for a $99 laptop. But you're absolutely right. And Walmart's $82 million fine, that's called good business for them. That's what it's called. Yeah. And they need to be held accountable, just like you said, and it's the people that need to do that.
Right.
I agree.
So, again, it all starts locally, and support what is a good company, and they have to be transparent. I have something, again, I'm strategizing with a business partner who's also a Vietnam-era veteran. You can put Dave interviews Hugh Trolson. That might be interesting to listen to and share, but we're strategizing with video products and not exclusive to the company, one of the companies that we're active with. But in addition to that, I discussed something called a Y-Pod. Now, this nobody is really doing yet, and this can be a subsidiary to any company or nonprofit or whatever, which can function as a creative, intelligent database where you can provide and computer code it so it's controlled and offer it with incentives for finder's fees or whatever. The company can look for anything that they want and use their employees or anybody from the outside, wherever it can go on the internet, instead of hiring expensive consultants, which they have done all the way through in the past. And all this can't be controlled except by those that have the codes and know how to utilize it.
It sounds good for them. I don't know about everybody else, though. What about all those people out of work?
Well, those are the ones that have to wake up. Those are the ones that have to see, well, what can I do with an MLM or a company that can empower me by teaching me? That's why, take a look at the restaurant strategy. I just touched the tip of the iceberg discussing it, but I say that because the company that I'm affiliated with my partner who's a cybersecurity expert is called Talk Fusion. It was started by a police officer down in Florida about 16 years ago. It's a billion-dollar company in 120 countries. And unlike Amway or Herbalife or whatever, there's no physical product that you have to inventory and be a shipping agent. It's all digital. So the key is how you strategize with it. And I don't like the way they promote it like all the other ones. They say just come in and within a few weeks you'll have your Rolls Royce and yachts or whatever. No, you got to work for anything. But if you take a strategy and test it locally, roll it out regionally, countrywide, and worldwide, that strategy can make millions and millions of dollars for people. And I'll just give you one idea, because the products are everything from, and people are using Zoom and everything, but you're paying for it, or if it's free, why not make money with the technologies? So they have video email, they have video chat, webinars. What I think is the most powerful is the video newsletter, because with that you can provide education, provide incentives and opportunities to keep your base and attract more people and hold them. But related to the video email, I was told years ago a French restaurant in Texas came into the Talk Fusion network, and the owner of the restaurant sent out a video email to his customer base just thanking him for being a customer. He did it in a way where he videotaped the chef preparing an entree. Whatever the sauce that the chef put on the entree looked so delicious that everybody started sharing it with their friends. Within a week, sales for the restaurant doubled. That's the very tip of the iceberg, because all these video products can be introduced to all his suppliers and even his business customers in a way where he could even use rooms that they're not using for meetings to have local meetup groups to brainstorm with masterminds on how to expand and diversify with these video products. So that's a tremendous opportunity that people haven't awakened to yet. So I would say, and I've worked the low-level jobs. I worked 100-hour weeks. I've been through all this stuff that people are going through, plus a whole lot more. So that's
absolutely
why
true.
They can't handle me.
I just downloaded the entire 10 seasons of America's Test Kitchen, where they get on there. It's a BBC show where they do recipes and cook them on TV. But let me ask you this: you're a bit older. Have you ever noticed, or have you ever given any thought to the fact that the Dow Jones at 30,000 is just about what the national debt is, and the Dow Jones seems to follow what the debt is throughout the years?
Well, I've said this, that the stock market's going to crash eventually, because again, it's all these hedge funds and stuff that are manipulating things. And I mean, if you go back to the days of the Hunt brothers with the silver and all that stuff, I mean, these people with tons of money, they buy these futures, and they just it'll jump up 400 or 500 points and go down and whatever, and people are just mystified. But the real pros, they know what they're doing. What was the saddest thing to me is, and what is still not being addressed properly, is 2008. How can you lose trillions of dollars and nobody's accountable? Oh, I think it was over in Finland. They put the bankers in jail, and they're doing just fine. That's what we should have done here.
Of course, that's what we should have done here instead of bailing them out.
Right. Yep.
Exactly. That's exactly what should have been done. So we're back to 2008 now. So as I originally said,
well, go back to 1983 because the Wall Street Journal article really. That was the S&L banking scandal back then. They've been attempting this stuff in different ways for tremendous, and they're having a ball. I mean, they're laughing at all this stuff with the COVID-19. It's so sad.
Exactly. There's a scam around every corner. Like I said, I think it started with Kennedy. Kennedy was the beginning of the end.
Well, it goes even back before that, but it's funny, too, because our family used to vacation in Cuba, and I was there the second year running Christmas, New Year's vacation when Castro overthrew Batista. We got out on an emergency flight, and this would be an interesting gentleman to just Google his name because I met him through my father the following year in Fort Lauderdale. His name is Len, L-E-N, Povey, P-O-V-E-Y, and Len Povey was one of the original American barnstormers, and he trained the Cuban Air Force under Batista and responsible for an air maneuver that's done still in air shows to this day called the Cuban 8. So through my parents, I met a lot of very interesting people too. So people with a lot of money or whatever, they don't impress me. We all go to the bathroom the same way, and I laugh at all the ones in the Palm Beach with all those big estates that they have to have maintained by butlers and all that, but they're all deteriorating. They're all going to die someday. Where's all that stuff going to go?
Well, that's a hell of an outlook, and that's the way you got to look at it. But listen, Mr. Charleston and Trump, I'm going to let you go. Maybe there are other people that want to get on here and cause chaos and confusion because they don't really care about the rest of their life. So we'll let them have a good time. I appreciate chatting with you, and I hope with me. And if anybody can't do anything else, you can say a prayer. Again, understand that God is giving you that breath you're taking, and when the last one comes, you'll be facing your Creator and be accountable. So keep that in mind as you go out and create chaos. Right. Karma will get you in the end.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Anybody else here? Joe? I guess we were the only ones.
Is the show still on the air?
He asked me if I'm talking.
Anyway, I want to say thank you to our friends there. Real quick, I'm going to read the prologue. This is from Battle for the Republic, Dance of Swords.
Well, maybe he'll get back on.
So when and how would it start? Everyone knew that the conflict was at hand and that the open battle for the Republic was about to begin. The dagger war had been raging for many, many years, with victories and defeats on both sides. Some had thought that Waco would be the boiling point, but had not gone as any had foreseen. The 90s had had its skirmishes, and the militias had performed well, but restrained themselves in the hope that some other solution would present itself. It had not. With each passing day, the pressure continued to build. The globalist agenda had been based upon lies, and the people knew it. Some were still trying to formulate a peaceful solution, but the system had its own plan, and treachery was the centerpiece of that plan. With the first blade drawn and blood spilled, there would be no turning back. In a time of its own choosing, and at a place no one had expected, the dance of swords would begin. That's a nice abbreviated way to explain to you when people ask me, I've had this happen, well, how do you think it's going to start? That is whenever I'm in private, conversation with people, and a lot of you listening know this because I've spoken with you. The first concern is, how will it start? Well, let me walk you through it, because it's going to happen this way. And really, we don't get to pick the location, but the goofs are going to pick somebody they want to attack. It's that simple. They're going to try, and most likely, although you never know, like I said, we're on a sliding scale. But let's just stay between 60 and 90 days into the next year. The bat faggots combined with whatever Homeland Security bottom feeders, mostly mercenaries, are going to pick somebody that they're going to decide they want to use as an example. That action is going to be a face-off, and it's going to actually, initially be casualties for those who are surprised. It's going to happen that way. They're going to get caught off guard a little bit, but not much. because everybody can sense it, feel it, taste it, touch it. And what's going to happen is people are going to call on others, and there's a lot of people who are going to mobilize. The other side's going to do the same thing. Oh, and they have all their technology, but trust me, we're pulling out all the stops, and we have all of ours. At some point, there's going to be a column of goofs in black uniforms, idiots, mostly pea-brains. In fact, well, 99.9% pea-brains, in their spiffy little black uniforms with all their spiffy little alphabet letters on them. And that column of Suburbans and Labs and other nonsense are going to face off at an intersection. They're going to bump into each other by accident, mostly. And it'll be a column of militia, mechanized or light mechanized, and armed up, already cock-locked and ready to rock and roll. And the bottom feeders in the black uniforms will be screaming their profanities, and they'll be screaming and screaming and screaming, and the other side won't be screaming a whole lot. And somebody's going to pull a trigger. And there's going to be one hell of a popcorn exchange. It's going to, from a distance, it's going to sound like somebody opened up the popcorn pan from hell, okay? And when it's all said and done, there will be no turning back. I want you all to be ready for that. Notice I didn't shout about it. I didn't scream about it. And there's none of us that are in the militia community that will be surprised by it. There are none of you in the Patriot effort that should be surprised at it at all. Now, some will try to talk themselves out of it, and some will think they can make a deal. There are no deals with the devil. And when that happens, then all of the game plans, all of the nonsense the enemies thought to plug in will be for naught. And then the sky's the limit. Because one of the things that everybody has learned by watching what has happened over the years is in this game it's going to be use it or lose it. In other words, you make contact, you fire their hind end up, and you turn them into puddles of mush. You don't try to talk with them. You don't try to negotiate with them. You do what you have done before. Now, some of you are older gentlemen who were in World War II, and I know you can't dance the dance the way we could, in the past. I know that. But by God, you can still run a radio, and you can still drive a truck. Or you can at least help with men that are wounded or individuals that are hurt when the time comes and help to maintain the fabric of our society. But there's another group of veterans, the Korean War veterans, and guys, you're getting long in the tooth, too. You don't need to tell me. I know we got a lot of gentlemen in their 70s. And you know what? They're still online. And when the time comes, I don't care if you move fast. You pick the target, you put them down like the dog that they are with one round, and if all you did was take down that one black uniformed scumbag, you know what? That's one less we got to worry about. You pick the time, you pick the place, you neutralize the target. But there's a whole bunch of Vietnam vets. There's a whole bunch of other people that are from other wars and other periods of time in the last 40 years. And you are more than competent, and you are more than capable. And you've seen men die, and you've seen men stacked like cordwood, okay? The other side, they always claim, and we got a bunch of goofs on our side that are doing the like cordwood. Next time someone says that, you turn and slap that sucker. Slap that girl for what he is. Okay, the next time you hear any goof come up with that or start yapping that BS, then you slap his hind end. Because everybody knows it's equal opportunity dying time once everything kicks in, and the other side ain't going to have it their way. Now, you're going to have to think ahead. Now, I'm going to tell you flat out, anybody who's running around like a chicken with their head cut off, shame on you. I don't want to hear any screaming. There shouldn't be any panic. I don't want to hear any, oh, it's so terrible. I don't want to hear any of that either. Congratulations. It's the life we're living. It's the times we have. Make the best of them you can. Organize to the best of your ability. Fight to win. And once we've won, help the other guys that are still in need of assistance to kick the slats off the other ones that they're facing. Moose season is going to be real short. However, there's going to be a couple of seasons that open up, and there's a reason for that, because the bad guys are hoping to waste our time and resources in lesser actions that they might consume and eat out our substance. We have thought for the long term. Now, all of you out there, every one of you must be prepared at least to take care of yourselves. You completely change the formula of what you're facing, and the enemy cannot predict effectively what they're going to do. if everybody just does some of the basic stuff that we've talked about, just food, any quantity of food and water you have on the shelf means that you are thinking with your mind and not with your stomach.
Yep.
Every one of you. All you could do is say, oh, peace, love, dope, I just can't touch a weapon. Well, fine. I really wouldn't have a problem with that, provided you get up off your dead hind end and do something to prepare yourself. At least prepare yourself. In other words, get ready for what's coming. Now, that means food, that means water purification systems, and even if you don't think you're going to be a combatant, by God, you better get a gas mask, and you better do it now. Because they're already bragging about how they're going to bug spray people, okay? We already known that. That's part of their psychological formula, but what happens if we undermine it completely by being prepared for it? It changes the dynamic, just like everything else.
The President committed the crime of obstruction. You could not publicly state that in your report or here today.
Can you repeat the question, sir? You're going to have to repeat that for me.
The President committed the crime of obstruction. You could not publicly state that in your report or here today.
Can you repeat the question, sir? You're going to have to repeat that for me. Can you repeat the last part of that question?
Individual is in fact obligated to provide what's being demanded by the regulation or statute, meaning you don't have any wiggle room, right?
I'd have to look more closely at the statute.
Well, I just read it to you.
And where are you reading from on that?
I'm reading from my question.
Then could you repeat it?
Okay.
Are you mocking me?
Can you start it again?
Okay, sure.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one?
Attorney number 2 in the Inspector General's report and Strzok both worked on your team, didn't they?
Pardon me? Yes.
They both worked on your team, didn't they?
I know. I heard Strzok. Who else were you talking about?
Attorney number 2 identified in the Inspector General's report.
Okay. And the question was?
What'd I say? What?
When discussing the June 2016 Trump Tower meeting, you referenced, quote, the firm that produced the Steele reporting, unquote. The name of that firm was Fusion GPS. Is that correct?
And you're on page 103?
103, that's correct, volume 2. When you talk about the firm that produced the Steele reporting, the name of the firm that produced that was Fusion GPS. Is that correct?
I'm not familiar with that.
Can you answer the question?
No, it is a trick question.
Why is it a trick question?
Well, let me just help you. It's not a trick question. It was Fusion GPS.
The President ordered former White House counsel Don McGahn to fire you. The President ordered Don McGahn to then cover that up and create a false paper trail. And now we've heard the President ordered Corey Lewandowski to tell Jeff Sessions to limit your investigation so that you stop investigating the President. I believe a reasonable person looking at these facts could conclude that all three elements of the crime of obstruction of justice have been met. And I'd like to ask you, the reason, again, that you did not indict Donald Trump is because of OLC opinion stating that you cannot indict a sitting president, correct?
That is correct.
Does the defense's case hold water?
No. The defense is wrong.
You are a Marine. You served in Vietnam and earned a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart, correct?
Correct.
Which president appointed you to become the United States Attorney for Massachusetts?
Which senator?
Which president?
Oh, which president? I think that was President Bush.
According to my notes, it was President Ronald Reagan had the honor to do so. Under whose
My mistake.
I'm finished with this guy.
It's 5:37 p.m. There's a cold sweat on the back of your neck. You're standing at an ATM in a crowded grocery store. A few yards away, the cashier's drumming her long red nails on the counter next to your groceries. There's a long line of people waiting to pay. You turn back to the ATM and swipe your card for the third time. Nothing happens. Your card won't work. Behind you, someone in line lets out an exasperated sigh. You apologize to the cashier. Annoyed, you head back to your car, where you fish out your cell phone and give the bank a call. It takes 3 tries until a woman's voice finally answers. But it's just a recorded message, so garbled you can't make out a word. You hang up, start your engine. On the way home, you stop off at a gas station. The attendant comes out as usual, but before you can speak, he asks a strange question. You buying or selling? Confused, you tell him you just want to fill her up. But when you try to give him your credit card, he suddenly backs away. Sorry, we're closed, man, sorry. You sit there for a moment, wondering what has happened. Finally, you head home. You tell your wife what happened? Definitely strange. But she figures it's probably just a computer problem at the bank. They'll have it sorted out by morning. You agree, but as you fall asleep later that night, you're not so sure. Suddenly, it's 4 a.m., and there's a cold fear deep in the pit of your stomach. Something doesn't feel right. It's not just a computer problem, and you know it. First thing next morning, you take a trip to the bank. It doesn't look open. A piece of paper taped to one of the doors tells you that it's been closed temporarily. No explanation, just a phone number to call and what looks like a government logo, but not one you recognize. You give the number a shot. It's that garbled message again. You hang up. Around the side of the building, there are a couple of dented ATMs with broken screens. As you head back to your car, you notice a man kneeling down by a pickup truck parked nearby. He's got a hose running from the truck's gas tank into a jerry can. Suddenly, he looks up and catches you staring at him. The look in his eyes tells you not to linger. He watches as you get in your car and drive off. Everything's closed. It's that same piece of paper everywhere. The same dark screens on every ATM. You start running into other desperate people, trying to deposit Social Security checks, take out cash, or find out why their cards suddenly aren't working. This is not just a problem with your bank. Your whole town is essentially shut down. And now that fear, that cold fear comes back. Something is very, very wrong. Credit cards aren't working anywhere. Most stores and gas stations are closed. Those that are still open have cash-only signs on their doors. That's a big problem because you don't have much cash left.
Let's see. Well, now, Brother Peter started off saying, and not only did he start off saying this, but when I first communicated with Brother Joseph, he was kind of perturbed too, kind of disturbed, you know, and many of you all who are listening are probably feeling the same way as Brother Joseph and Brother Peter. But let's discuss the elephant in the room. And what is the elephant in the room? Why is it that when someone such as myself suggests that Jesus might be black, okay, why is it that our white brothers and sisters do not become perturbed and become so perturbed to the extent that we have to have a show like we want today? But I'm glad to be here because this is a teachable moment. Why is it that our white brothers and sisters do not become upset with the idea of white Jesus? And when we look around, especially in America, 99.9% of all churches, black churches and white churches, and all of other races of churches in the Americas, have a white Jesus in their sanctuary. the image of a white European Jesus. But I don't know if these brothers know, or if some of you all know, but you should know, and most of you do know, that it is definitely out of the question.
30 seconds. 30 seconds, and then you'll get 30 seconds, and then you'll get another turn. Okay. I promise. 30 seconds. Okay.
It is absolutely out of the question that Jesus is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, or any color combination of a European, and that he was either a brown-skinned man, something in between, or a black man, okay, which means that the Caucasoid race would be eliminated, and his race would either be Negroid or Mongoloid, or a combination of the two, a man of color. So I would like to ask Brother Joseph and Brother Peter, why is it that my white brothers and sisters and white people in general get so perturbed about black Jesus, which is closer to his actual color, which white Jesus is absolutely not an option?
All right. Hey. All right. I'll leave you unmuted because I know you'll respect the rules. I know you will. And this is good because we don't want people yelling at everyone. And anyone else who wants to participate, you need to press 1. There's many people on the call line. But this is a theological discussion amongst two individuals who are biblically knowledgeable, and that's why we're having this discussion. It's an important discussion. Dr. Ventura, the floor is now yours. Address what this brother had to say.
Thank you. I appreciate having the floor. If you would have asked me what I meant by the human race, I would have defined it just as you defined it. That's not a problem. The idea of a white Jesus perturbing people, not perturbing the white races, and in answer to your question, I can answer for myself. I'm perturbed with a white Jesus. I understand that white Jesus with the blonde hair and the blue eyes was the artist's conception of his brother, which was painted in the 1300s. He used his own brother as the model, and that white Jesus has caused division for centuries. It's a device of Satan. It was created by Satan, and it was created for the purpose of dividing the Christianity. That's what I believe, and so I don't believe in. I think race. When we say race, it's a real touchy situation, and it's an exciting thing to talk about. And but going back to what you said about the races, I get that, and I agree with you. Jesus Christ was not white, and anybody who thinks he is needs to go and